Hello everyone. So today we're going to discuss about a very common issue that GST department is raising in the scrutiny of returns and GST audit, and a very common question that has actually come before me across different forums is that the GST department is demanding RCM payment for all those cases where the taxpayer has missed to pay RCM in say the previous year 17, 18, 18, 19, because this was one very common mistake that a lot of people have done. Now the question that is coming is whether I am eligible to take credit of such RCM paid now if I'm making a payment say for 17, 18 or 18, 19. Let us look into the eligibility conditions for taking ITC. Section 16(2) talks about all the eligibility conditions which have to be fulfilled in order to take ITC, correct? Now 16(2)(a) specifies that a person should be in possession of a tax invoice or debit note or such other tax paying documents as may be prescribed. Rule 36 specifies that in cases of RCM, the tax paying document is a self invoice subject to payment of tax. Now there are two conditions that have to be fulfilled basically in order to claim credit of tax paid under RCM. One, there should be a self-invoice which is generated by the recipient himself, and the second is subject to payment of tax, so payment of tax. So the recipient is supposed to fulfill these two conditions, that is generate a self-invoice as well as make payment, and only then does he become eligible to take credit. Now a lot of us may have a question in mind that as per section 16(4), we can take credit of any tax that has been paid only up to 30th of November following the end of the relevant financial year, which was earlier the due date of filing return for September. So now the question, very common question, is if this expense pertains to 17-18 and as per section 16(4), what is the time limit to claim this particular credit? Can we say that the time limit to claim this particular credit starts from today, that is the date of payment, or the date of expense? So let us look at section 16(4). Section 16(4) specifies that credit, input tax credit in respect of any invoice or debit note for supply of goods or services or both, for that it is 30th of November. It specifically talks about invoice or debit note, correct? So there are two schools of thoughts with respect to this. One school of thought says that because it is talking about only invoice and debit note, so all those other tax paying documents which are specified in section 16(2)(a), read with rule 36, does not get covered under section 16(4). So concluding that RCM, the time limit of section 16(4) does not apply to RCM. There's another school of thought which talks about section 16(2) and section 16(4) have to be read in conjunction with each other, even though section 16(4) only mentions invoice or debit note, but it has to be read as invoice or debit note or such other tax paying documents as may be prescribed, because obviously the tax paying document which I'm using to claim that credit, the time limit can start from there itself. So even though there is no specific mention, but the intention of the legislature was such so as to include all those items or all those documents which are mentioned under section 16(2)(a), read with rule 36, to be the tax paying documents from where the time limit under section 16(4) must be computed. Going by this school of thought as well, we can say that for RCM, my time period begins from self-invoice subject to payment of tax. So the day when both these conditions are met, that is the day from where the time limit will actually start in order to comply with section 16(4). So if we are making payment of GST under RCM for say 17-18, today standing on 8th July 2023, we will be eligible for credit considering the fact that the tax paying document which is eligible to claim this particular credit is self invoice subject to payment of tax, and because I have paid tax now, irrespective of when I have generated the self invoice. If I have paid the tax now, I should be eligible for credit, and the eligibility under section 16(4) would be computed from today, that is 8 July 2023, which makes that credit eligible to be claimed up till 30th November 2024. So accordingly, the conclusion comes as, if we are making payment of credit under, if we are making payment of GST under RCM as on today, we will be eligible to take credit of that particular tax that has been paid. There's another very important aspect that has to be looked at. So 17(5), section 17(5), which deals with block credit, there is one particular entry, the last point under section 17(5), which states that if the tax has been paid under section 74, then the credit of that particular tax is blocked. So this is actually section 17(5)(I). So it says that any tax which is paid in accordance with 74, 129 and 130 is blocked under section 17(5). So we are not eligible to take credit of such tax paid. So if the demand has been raised under section 74 for this RCM, then we will not be able to take credit. So of course it has to be that notice itself, that demand itself has to be contested in such a way that we make sure that that particular demand has not been raised under section 74. Of course, when it is a payment of tax under RCM for which taxpayer is eligible for credit, there cannot be a fraudulent intent behind that particular thing, and it's definitely going to be an inadvertent mistake. So if the notice is issued under section 74, the proceedings are conducted in under section 74, credit will not be available. Otherwise, credit is going to be eligible. Now, a lot of people have also asked me whether this is all, whatever we've discussed till now is a matter of interpretation. So is there some sort of a judicial precedent coming for this particular matter? Then yes. So this case particularly pertains to service tax, and it has been quite some time since the judgment of the Madras High Court in the case of Ganges International was pronounced, wherein the credit, the tax paid under RCM pertaining to the service tax regime was also allowed in the GST regime, saying that definitely it is an eligible credit. And for service tax also, the relevant date for computing the time period for availment of ITC under SENVAT credit under reverse charge was from the date of payment. So yes, the date of payment mattered in service tax, the date of payment matters in GST, and if we are making tax payment under the head RCM now for a previous year also, we will be eligible to take credit of that. Thank you so much.